you don't have to be like the factory worker and you gotta take the job that your dad had, and then with 23 you have to be married because at 25 TikTok you gotta have your children. It's just all the norms are out of the window. And while it is really scary, because nobody has walked in front of us to build this path, but we're walking it. And that, I mean, you gotta have, your little machete every now and then. We're gonna put down some stepping stones so it's nicer for people after us to follow. But we're building this path now, and I think it's cool. And I feel everybody should help, and everybody should just like define those new ways for the generations to come.
You're listening to Granted Goodness, the show where we interview New Hampshire people making the world a better place. My name is Andy DeMao, and today's episode was recorded in Treeline Outfitters in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. My guest today is Nadja Fromm. Nadja is the founder and CEO of Fromm Consulting, where she helps entrepreneurs break up with corporate to turn their ideas into thriving businesses. We talk about her path from Germany to New Hampshire to success and failure and entrepreneurship, burnout, loss, life, love, lessons, and why her vulnerability and transparency make her a better coach, better leader, better human. All this and a bunch of other things on this episode of Granted Goodness. I hope you enjoy it. Nadja Fromm.
Nadja. Yeah, you can just present it. Yeah. So it's a weird spelling. Depends who you ask. If you ask people from the Arabic room, they say it's Nadia. And they're like, oh, it's an Arabic name. I'm like, yeah. And then you say when I meet people more from like the Russian, more Eastern European way, they're like, oh, Nadia, that's a Russian name. I'm like, yeah. So it depends. But you just go with Nadja and you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nadja. Oh,
we can practice a little bit.
I don't want to.
I had boyfriends who couldn't pronounce it, so I listen to them all.
Yeah.
Favorite is in the doctor's office. They come out, they look at the chart, and they're like, I'm like, ooh, this is gonna get good. Let's see what she's doing with it.
Well, they'll say, Nadja, and you say, not your problem. Don't worry about it.
Did you just come up with that?
I did.
Oh my God, good.
I bet that's the first time you've ever.
I did hear that the first time, yes.
Heard it.
But usually it's because my last name is Fromm. And then I introduce myself. So I'm like, Nadja Fromm. They're like, from where?
From where?
From Germany.
Yeah.
So
let's start there. That's actually really good. I love.
Look at that sliding in there.
Yeah.
Good, huh?
No, really, it is. I mean, I love this is a New Hampshire show, but one of the things I love about New Hampshire is that kind of secretly we're this very worldly place, where we have a lot of, diversity in terms of nationality and ethnicity. Maybe not a ton racially, but that's actually changing in real time. It's actually, well, when I was a kid, less than I think 2% of New Hampshire people were considered non-white. And in the last census, it's closer to 10% now. So even in my lifetime, that's a pretty substantial change in terms of racial demographic for the state, which is just an interesting, we're all, I feel are often stuck with our notions of the world that we had when we grew up in it. The value of money is one way. My mom, I love her. She's going to listen to this, but.
Hi, Mom.
But I don't know. Anyway, we don't have to talk about that. How did you end up here? You're from Germany.
That's a great question.
Tell us that story. You're in New Hampshire. What are you doing here?
I'm loving it. Let's say up front, I didn't plan to be here that long.
Sorry.
But I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah.
It's good in a good way. Yeah, in a good way. No, but so I think the story starts over 20 years ago when I started working right after school. And I always learned to go hustle, and you work hard and you play hard and you get results. And I grew up in a great family. They always taught me these values.
Yeah.
And so over 10 years plus, I worked up my way up the corporate ladder, and advertising agencies and startups kind of stumbled into that very quickly. And somehow decided to take my advertising agency background, my corporate background, and the startup experiences, and created my own business, and that was Fromm Consulting.
Yeah.
So I started that in 2014 in Berlin, Germany.
Wow.
And helped a couple startups, worked with a bunch of really, really huge clients, big names like Colgate, Weber Steven, the barbecues. And Lindt and Springley.
Yeah.
Lindt chocolate.
Just down the street.
Just down the street. And so this is how the cookie crumbles, is that I worked for them in Germany. I did some consulting with them and honestly fell in love with the brand. I said, well, if I'm going to go back and, put my own entrepreneurship on pause, I'll do it for a global brand that is a true love brand and people can get really excited about. And that's something with Lindt. This is literally one of the biggest employer in the area.
Yeah.
When you tell people you're with Lindt, even in Boston at the airport, when they check my visa and they're like, where are you working? I'm like, Lindt chocolate. They're like, you got any chocolate on you? Like, no, I just came from a freaking European transatlantic flight, but yay, chocolate.
You should always keep a couple balls in your jacket.
They melt not at all, right? It's really...
Yes, I do, but you're not going to like it. Yeah,
I'm sorry. But so they offered me a job here in the US and I didn't even think twice, just went through a breakup. And I was like, would you move to the US? I'm like, sure. They're like, really? Yeah. And 2 months later, I moved here completely by myself. Landed in, Stratham, New Hampshire.
So you saw America and then you're like, New Hampshire. Yeah,
I think the real story, to be honest, is that I've been traveling a lot before, all my years, and been, the usual places, the LA, the San Francisco, the New Yorks. Haven't heard of New Hampshire before. I have not heard about it.
That's okay. That's better.
Before I signed the contract, and I flew over. Yeah, it was. I would really say it was brave. And looking back, was like, oh, wow, it was pretty gutsy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know anyone and I was never here before.
That's extraordinarily gutsy.
So
you're correct.
I was like, I don't know.
This is a very unique, interesting, strange, but brilliant, special corner of the United States that a lot of people don't know about.
Yes, yes, and yes. And so I think the realization hit me when, you have like on the airplane, you have the little display in front of you, you have the little plane icon, and it like goes over to a place where I'm like, you sure that's still the US? It really looks like Canada to me. But that's how it started. And I arrived in 2018 in February.
Oh, wow.
Doing 3 Northeastern.
Yeah.
And the first thing I learned was the Weather Channel, watching the Weather Channel.
Yeah.
Sitting on my couch. Like, what have you done? Power outages, all the things.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I can do this for 2 years.
Right.
I can do this, career, next ladder, just keeping up. And, well, now I'm still here, and it's 7 years.
Right.
And I just love the area. I've moved around a little bit. Mm-hmm. Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Nottingham, Newmarket, and now full circle. I'm back in Portsmouth.
When did you live in Newmarket?
That was I'm weird. I move every 18 months.
You seem super normal.
Yeah.
Being weird's a good thing on this show.
Being weird is good. Yes, I'm emphasizing it.
I love it.
No, I was in Newmarket, I want to say 19 to 20.
That's when I was there.
Neighbor.
Where did you live? Like, where in town were you?
I wasn't downtown. I was a couple of the new developments up there. There's like a bunch of new townhouse developments, and they're all called like Apple Tree, Pear Tree,
yes.
I don't know what. So I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a little condo.
I was there, and I wasn't even. It's
what?
like.
Well, I probably wasn't that interesting to talk to back then because I was just a corporate 9 to 5 and then some. But no, I enjoyed that, working with the company. I was there for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Did different roles. And and then for me it was kind of like, all right, what's next? Start with Kraft Heinz.
Yeah.
So they hired me to build a company for them. So I did that.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. You can't just say something like that and then expect, what do you mean?
It's like,
What do you mean? Hey, Nadja, build this company for us. Okay, I did that. Moving on. What? Do you mean like Heinz, like ketchup? Like the Heinz ketchup people?
The ketchup people.
I feel like that's an extraordinarily large company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you do for them?
So they hired me to be the general manager for a spice company that they just acquired.
Huh.
Note, I can't cook. I have no idea about spices, but it is an incredible company. Company's Just Spices. That's the name. It is, coincidentally, it's a German startup. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that it was in job description, we need to have like a, like heading the company needs to be German.
Yeah.
But hindsight, it was definitely helpful.
Yeah, it helps. Right?
Culturally translating back and forth between the US and the Germans. But yeah, so they basically asked me if that's something I would be interested in. And I was the employee number 1 here in the US, and I built this company from the ground up for them.
I don't doubt it.
And it's awesome. I built there still. I'm no longer with the team. I left this summer, just kind of like to move on to the next thing for me.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome company. The products are honestly really, really good.
Yeah.
And they're seasoning blends. But I did everything from standing up the manufacturing here in the US, because you don't want to like keep importing everything.
Yeah.
But set up everything of the logistics, the website, selling into retailers. They're sold in like big stores now. So it was awesome.
Wow.
It was awesome. And that just reminded me of my passion to build something from scratch.
Yeah.
It was definitely nice to have the deep pockets of a corporation like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it also comes with, there's a give and take.
Right.
With having the benefits and the big salary and the deep pockets and the good budget funding.
Right.
While trying to live the startup life.
Yeah.
You want to get the best out of both worlds, but you don't always do that.
Yeah.
So it was just for me the reminder of, I really, really love this.
Mm-hmm.
Can I swear, by the way?
Yeah, you can swear.
Okay. I fucking love this. I really, people who know me are like, oh, is she behaving?
Oh, no.
I enjoyed, and I just remembered how much I enjoy that building completely from scratch. Nothing was there. Like, how do we implement a sale on Shopify into SAP?
Right.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And that was so fun. I gotta say, I did burn myself out for sure.
Yeah.
But I learned from it.
That means you probably did a great job, though.
I would think so, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure you did.
I enjoyed it, and that's the most important thing. I'm convinced that when you do something you're really passionate about, you're gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think.
I mean, I agree with you. This is like, what you just shared is way more interesting than what I'm going to say, which is a random thought I had in the car this morning.
Bring it on.
Well, no, I was thinking about like, there's all these people that I'm excited to talk about or about and with on the show. And I was just trying to make peace with this feeling of like, I'm never going to get to them all. And that's just going to like, I could spend the rest of my life just talking to people who I think deserve to like come on, have an audience and to share their story of like, I built something cool, I built it and I'm positive and I'm like action oriented like you, right? Mm. I could do that for the rest of my life. I still would, I'd die before I would run out of people. And just like sitting with that. And then I kind of realized that's a feature, not a bug of like being a human being, right? Like it's a good thing that our imagination exceeds often what we as individuals are physically capable of. Because if it didn't, right, if we could only think of like the limits of what we could do with our single bodies, right, nothing would ever, like we would never have invented it. We would still be like hunting caribou and whatever, right? Like there's nothing wrong. That's great. But
Go on, Kevin.
Yeah, vaccines and satellites are cool too. Like we need those, and it's a good thing to invent new stuff. So I don't know, just like making peace with the process and kind of like what you were saying of, I'm sure that at every part of your experience, building the thing for the company or even being an entrepreneur, which you know very well, you think to yourself, oh man, I'm never going to get it all done. There's so many things I want to do. And even when it's great and perfect and finished and everyone is like, wow, Nadja, you did a great job. Here's a bunch of money. You probably still say to yourself, thank you, but it could be like it's in your nature just to continue to see possibility, but like, I don't know. It kind of has to be that way though. Otherwise we wouldn't do anything new, I think.
It always takes people who push it further than the regular people can imagine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to claim that I'm one of those people, but I can tell you that at least based on my upbringing, and that's not the most healthy place. And It's definitely a place where I'm working on very actively with my coach.
Sure.
That I grew up truly thinking I'm not enough. Mm-hmm. I'm never enough. We're like going right into it now.
Okay.
But it's something that has been always the driver for me.
Yeah.
That I'm not enough. If you want to be someone, you got to hustle, you're going to show up, you're going to be better than everybody else. So it was always this, how can I push myself? How can I do what I do even better?
Yeah.
And quite candidly, it was not a healthy mindset for me. And the 20 plus years now, I had 3 burnouts.
Wow.
Massive burnouts.
Yeah.
And the last one being this year.
Yeah.
And bringing me to this complete halt. And what I had to realize is that you cannot live like that forever. You have to find a place where you say, you know what, I am enough.
Yeah.
And I'm great. And I did well. Could I do even better? 100%. Yes,
Right.
for sure. But leaving every conversation, every encounter, every task, leaving it with a thought of like, I could have done better. I wish I could have. That's no good. And that is not sustainable for you emotionally, I can tell you.
Right.
But yeah, in the end, it's this dreaming and dreaming bigger and seeing what else is out there. I think that's where the magic starts, but doing it with the boundaries of me, myself, I'm great.
Yeah.
And I'm enough and I want to do better. But yeah, that's a very important thing for me I had to learn. And
Sure.
that came through the very, very tough school of climbing the ladder in corporate America or corporate in general.
Yeah.
That was interesting learning.
Well, I was going to ask, I mean, that to me, I haven't lived internationally, but I'm curious about that. Like that to me seems like, I mean, I guess you need that mindset anywhere in business, anywhere in the world, right? But there very much strikes me as like, that's an American, attitude, right? Of like hustle, build, grow aggressively. Like the entrepreneurial spirit is very strong in the United States, and at least that's been my sense in talking to like other international people, even Germans. Like we could talk about that. So I don't know. I'm curious. Like, what did you ever notice? Like, I mean, even you said that you acted as a kind of intermediary or helped translate, so to speak, like different business cultures and practices. Like, what is that like? Understanding, business culture in Germany and business culture in America, are they really different? Are they the same? I mean, it sounds like you had your kind of go, like you learned that in Germany.
Yeah, I had my fair share of both, for sure. Both cultures, business and life. And I think the biggest differentiator, well, let's start with what's same. The same is the pressure and the constant drive, and if you want to be someone, you got to hustle. I feel that is something that Germans are very disciplined about, and it's so the sheer discipline that you grow up with,
Right.
And the thriving for excellence.
Yeah.
That is something that feels very comparable. In most other areas of life, it's very different. So I think the one thing for me, and that's specific to this area, why I love it so much, and even friends that are moving up from Mass and coming up here in New Hampshire, like,
I welcome them.
Everybody's so nice. I'm like, yeah, people are so nice.
Yeah.
And if people within the greater U.S.,
Right.
they're like, the Northeast, people are just like, they keep to themselves, they're cold, they're just like, they're rude. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
As a German,
Right.
this fits like a glove. People are so friendly.
Yeah.
They're not overly, but
Right.
once you really make friends here,
Yeah, there's nothing they won't do for you.
you can go steal horses with, like, that's
Right.
just great people.
Yeah.
And so the difference to Germany is truly for me that you can have a lot of fun. You just, people overall here are very open, and you just enter a store and you have a conversation with a total stranger. You don't have that in Germany. And so translating that to business, it's similar to that there's a lot of conversation, and people really truly want to get to know you. But somehow, and that's why it's both the same, is that, well, in the end, if you don't perform,
Right.
then you can be the nicest person ever.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that that I struggled with in both countries, which is why I have my own business now, because I just couldn't find the right environment where I was valued truly as my whole self, totally, with the goods, the bads, the uglies, and all of that. Like, yes, you should obviously be professional, but we're not machines.
Right.
And I feel that is expected in both in overall in large corporations, you gotta perform. You gotta be loyal to your company. You gotta wear the brand colors all day, every day, and tell all your friends about it. But the moment you're not performing,
see ya.
as I did,
Right.
and the moment you just keep stumbling and you really struggle to get out of bed in the morning and find purpose in life,
right,
and then you don't even perform at work, and then that's a negative spiral, and then you don't find any other purpose in life. That was a very, very dark place for me.
Sure.
And I think what really was so hurtful is that you pour your life into these jobs.
Right.
The 9-to-5 grind is, and we all know it's not just 9 to 5.
Right.
It's 7 to 7, it's 24/7, because you never really, especially now that we work remotely. You always on, like, work is just one click ahead.
Right.
Just a click away. And so hurtful that you put so much work and life hours into it, and the moment you're not okay, or you make a mistake.
Right. Yeah, it's not a two-way street.
It's
a
not.
lot of the time.
It's not. And then you are an expense line in the budget.
Yeah.
Then you're an overhead cost.
Right.
Then you are just an inconvenience. Not saying that, but again, that was hurtful for me, and so that's one of my missions now.
Yeah.
Is to help people find a place where you can be financially stable but also happy, and not the empty happy, yay, but like,
right.
Still hustle.
Fulfilled, satisfied.
Be fulfilled and find something that
self-motivated
sings to your soul.
Yeah.
While raking in the money. Like let's find that place for you. And that's what I'm so passionate about now, because I couldn't find it myself and I had to create it. And I think that's a big thing right now, that people want to take their lives in their own hands.
Yeah.
And with all the corporate and all the career and all the things and the shiny objects, and there's just more to it. There's more to that, to life and to career and to giving back to the community. And we talked at the beginning of this.
Yeah. I
so
appreciate
much good in the world.
Yeah, there is. And I appreciate how authentic you are. It's just, it rings true. I mean, everyone who comes on the show is authentic, but like, I get the sense talking to you, like, you're very comfortable just saying it. You're like, no, I personally have experienced a lot of bullshit in the corporate world, and it ruined me in a lot of ways, and I found my way out.
Yes.
And now I want to do something better for me and for other people.
Yeah. Success can make you blind.
Yeah.
And if you're in survival mode, like the lizard brain, the fight, flight, freeze, like if you have that for so many years, it's incredible hard for me. I had to learn throughout the summer to be able to connect with myself, listening to my thoughts. Like, who the heck is this?
Yeah.
Oh, I have all the therapists you can think of, all the energy healing, all the things, and I'm still a work in progress, and I'm loving it. But being able to truly like sit and actually listen for a minute of like, what does she actually want?
Yeah.
Woof. Like that, that's hard work. But throughout all of that, it made me into this warrior of don't feel anything, work harder, you get punched in the face, you get back up, you're like, let's do another business review meeting.
Right.
Like, let's circle back.
Yeah.
And I have never been, there have been places where I've not been a good person, not been a good boss, not been a good colleague.
Yeah.
Because you can't, there's no excuse for it.
Right. Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, the fact that you're able to say that and speak about that so comfortably, right, is, I think, that's all that we can, like, who is a perfect person all the time, forever, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone, at least I would like to think, everyone can think of, like, I'm the sort of person, like, I think of, like, an embarrassing thing that happened to me, like, 12 years ago, like, all the time, or, like, if I don't know, if I was, like, mean to someone, or I think that I was mean, like, did they think that I said this mean thing to them? Gee, I hope not. I'm never going to see that person ever again in my life. So I think it's healthy and a sign of growth and positive introspection for people to speak and reflect on their own character in the way that you are, of like, no, I'm self-aware. I was a high performer, but I could have been a little more human oriented about it at times. But a lot of people never realize that about themselves, They just keep on humming along.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the questions I wanted to ask you in this, this great big spiritual pivot Like, how did you get out of that? Like, how did you find your way out of that darker place? And you can answer that any way you want. And you can talk about like, man, how do I start valuing me? How do I, detach my value from my level of business success? Even like, take me there.
It was a long, painful journey. I think the key to everything was because again, it was my third burnout.
Yeah.
And the other two, I think my first, I actually had to be admitted to a mental hospital.
Oh, wow.
And was there for, I think, 2 months.
Yeah.
During which I was fired from the job that burnt me out.
Yeah.
So that was the first. The second was while I was already here in the US, but I had got no time to burn out.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had no time for it. So I had to suck it up and push through it.
Wow.
Which was definitely left a lot of scars that didn't heal well.
I was going to say, yeah, scar tissue.
A lot of scar tissue. And I think I had that. I got now over a year ago, I got divorced. I, had to sell the house,
right.
completely revisit all that.
Yeah. Then
work started to go south and I wasn't really able to tag. Because again, when you in flight or fight mode, you're not able to, like, it overwrites your brain and it overwrites the frontal cortex. Is that the right word? Cortex, the frontal cortex. So when you're in this fight or flight, it completely overrules everything that is logic or reason in your brain. And so in this, it starts that downward spiral because I'm not worth it. I can't even hold a husband.
Right.
I'm not worth it because I can't even keep this business. The numbers didn't come in as we wanted to. And then you have this spiral. And then you have this spiral and you just serve it real good.
Right.
And it sucks you down like quicksand. And it took me truly a mental, emotional, physical breakdown.
Right.
So and spiritual. Think about all the 4 bodies.
Yeah.
To force me to a complete halt.
Right.
To the point where I physically wasn't able to get out of bed.
Wow.
To a point where I physically wasn't able to think straight.
Yeah.
And that was really tough.
Right.
And that was the only way my body was able to stop me.
Yeah.
And then I started to listen because I had no other choice.
Yeah.
There was no other choice.
Yeah.
And the realization that that something really needs to change is that, the divorce last year, then I had a boyfriend in between, then he left me and then work didn't work. And then I realized everything is just a pile of poop. Okay, hear me out. So now I'm also going to turn 40 in a couple months.
Right.
So, yeah, I know. What? Go ahead.
You're great.
Thanks.
You're so valid right now.
So, no, but what I said is first of all, I'm not gonna, and this is morbid, but I'm not gonna survive a 4th burnout.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. I will not be able to do it.
Right.
And I'm not gonna live another 40 years like this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna live another 5. So that came together with a necessity of like, well, everything is shit. Everything is it's just a train wreck.
What do I have to lose?
It's like a train wreck on fire and with a dumpster. Like, I don't even know how all these things, but
a dumpster fire is the phrase you're looking for. It's
a train wreck that goes into a burning dumpster fire.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's
like really like,
doesn't get worse than that.
Like real bad.
Yeah. You had a front row seat.
And I got VIP ticket.
Yeah.
So that was the last straw for me was I need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And the company that I started, the German headquarter, that woman, that CEO, Verena, she's such an amazing human. And she saw me when I was at my worst and she said, Nadia, I don't think you're okay.
Yeah.
And I was able to, through that network of the company, tap into someone he's a leadership coach. He is a shaman. He's a Reiki master.
Yeah.
And so believe in and think of all these things as much as you want.
Yeah.
But I flew over to Germany because he's German.
Right.
And we did a very intense 1-day session with deep trauma, unveiling and like peeling back all the onion layers, doing the trauma work, doing the internal family systems, pushing a couple of those like limiting belief systems. I'm not enough.
Right.
I'm going to die alone. I'm never going to find someone who truly loves me. I can say these things
all
now.
In one day. Yeah.
Right. I can say these things now because he was able to work with me through that and taking some of that trauma response energy off it. And that was the starting point. And then from there, more therapy. Then from there, I met my coach. He's technically my business coach. I always call him my business therapist because he's very holistic.
Yeah.
And he teaches me about masculinity and femininity and how you can combine these things and how specifically in my culture, it's still very much like if you as a girl want to be successful, you're going to mimic what the boys are doing.
Right.
And so it's this elbow culture. It's that, if you want to go up there, you're going to be a bitch.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to wear the pants. You're going to don't be pretty.
You got to be a bully a little bit.
Yeah. Mimic those aggressive masculine behaviors to get shit done. But I'm now only learning that there's so much more to it if you can combine your divine feminine with the masculine. And everybody has it. It's not really it's not related to the gender.
Right.
It's truly the two energies.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest mind-boggling moment for me when I talked to one of all my therapists. I should put all of them together in a room.
Your constellation of teachers.
They should, we should do like a podcast, but only my therapists are going to be there and talk about it. It would be
That'd
so fun.
We'll do a round table.
Round table, like, how fucked up is Nadia?
Right. We'll talk about your mental and spiritual health in way more detail and intimacy than you ever wanted to, and we'll record the whole thing.
And the internet will know about it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. No, but the biggest aha was that it's not bad to be a female.
Right.
It's not bad to be soft. It's not weakness.
Yeah, or empathy, right? Or
and empathy
vulnerability,
and vulnerability and feelings. Feelings?
Yeah.
I would Botox my whole face so people don't see my emotions.
Wow.
How fucked up is that?
That's something that would never in my life, I think, would that have occurred to me.
No, you don't need Botox. You look great. See, that's what I was looking for.
Well, even just like as a man, I mean, like there's all these things that I think it's easy for guys to, like, they just don't, like you'll talk to a girl or a woman and they'll be like, oh yeah, I had to, like, they have to consider a lot of things, particularly in professional environments that guys will be like, what do you mean? I just like put some pants on and put some boots on and like, it's great. It's like, oh, no. There's a lot more. There's many more expectations, for what is appropriate or expected for you in the workplace versus, I think a lot of those, characteristics that we think of as more masculine, right, we affiliate them with success and leadership when really everyone probably needs a good dose of both, right?
We need both.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's why. Like everybody should be celebrated for what they're good at, not because they're one or the other, or like, I think the psychology of clothing, to your point of what to wear, how to wear it. Just recently I moderated this incredible panel about women in tech. Mm-hmm. And it was 4 women. I was the moderator. Yeah. And dude, what do you think how long it took me to decide what to wear? Because I'm
probably had a team of consultants.
I don't want to.
That's a joke.
No. Overthinking?
Yeah.
Yes. No, but the whole thing, like, oh, you're going to go up on stage and present something at the National Sales Conference and you wearing pants?
Right. Yeah. What are you thinking?
Wow, you're wearing pants? Good for you. I'm like, what up? We even need to talk about this?
Yeah.
If you wear heels, then you're too sexy, but if you don't wear heels, you're too tomboy, right. And then like it's just so like, can we just all stop?
You can make an argument.
Give me a uniform,
right?
It's fine. I don't care. But it's just so much to it. How you speak, physical,
right?
Physical behaviors.
Oh yeah, body language is huge.
Body language. Yeah. There's one thing that it's one of my favorite book. It's called How Women Rise, and I always give it. And recommend every female, also male, but everyone I'm mentoring or consulting would be like, read this book, because there's one thing that stuck with me the first time I read it. It was about, imagine a big boardroom, a meeting room, right? packed, a lot of people already in there, you're sitting around the table, someone comes in late to the meeting.
Yeah.
You know, as a female, and this is again, not everybody female does this and every male does that, but like the general tendency is for a woman to take her things and be like, no, go, you can squeeze in here, yeah, no problem. You know, take your things. Men don't do that.
Yeah, they're like, you're late.
Men don't do that.
Out. Yeah.
They're like, if you want to be like, hey, can I squeeze in? They're like, yeah, of course. You know, they're not, most of them are not assholes per default.
Yeah.
But I learned that we're making us small because we're accommodating.
Right. The accommodation is, you know, you're
and
socialized.
That's what we do.
Right.
But no, don't do that.
Yeah,
so one of the advice I give, as much as that's essentially playing the boys' rules, but if you go into a meeting room, if I'm sitting in a panel, if I'm sitting in the audience of wherever and there's an empty chair, I'm making myself big.
Yeah.
I put my purse on the other chair. I'm leaning over. I have my arm on the...
You're man-spreading is what you're doing.
Man-spreading. That's what we learned from the animal kingdom.
Right.
Right? And so those little bitty small things, that's how in some often you just feel women are underestimated because we make us small. We're taught, don't be difficult.
Right.
Don't talk so loud. Your voice is so shrill. Like,
yeah. Do you have to talk like that?
Do you? Can we just all agree?
Even if you're assertive, it's like, oh, you're so mean.
Or
they'll be like, you're a bitch.
You're a bitch. You're bossy. No, I have leadership potential.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not quoting memes here. It's kind of is, but it's just, it's very interesting. And I think the core of all this, of all the experience over the last couple of months is that I'm becoming a better person because I'm able to finally unlock all of the pieces of me.
Yeah.
And that is hard work.
Sure.
And you can do all that and you can fall on your face, bloody nose, get back up, and be very successful.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Well, I think that, again, your ability to be authentic and vulnerable, I'm sure endears you, you know, to your clients and to many people. And I don't doubt it's happened to you already, but like people are much more willing. Like I think people.
Those people.
Yeah, people like to talk about how people are fake and inauthentic, and like I understand what they mean by that, but I also really think that people are really good at like smelling out like fraud or inauthenticity. You know, like we're very, very good at it, and you can tell if someone, you know, some people are really good, you know, and you can be like different levels of deceitful and honest, but like if someone's bullshitting you. Generally you can tell, you know, or at least most people, or there's like something there, you know, and, you know, if you have someone's trust, you know, and you're able to be authentic with them, it's like that's literally worth its weight in gold, you know, and there's a lot of pressures and incentives, you know, to do business and to drive revenue, to do all these things. And, you know,
girl wants to eat.
Right. Yeah. Dishonesty can kind of make its way into those things. But like, if you build a brand and a business, you know, and a practice as you're doing, just that's from the get-go, it's about you and your authentic self. And you're just telling people, oh, yeah, my entire life fell apart last year and it sucked. It was really hard, but I'm able to talk about it and I own it. I also know how to build an entire, you know, huge, awesome, like manufacturing wing of a giant global company. Like I know how to do both these things.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I think it makes you a great coach for your clients. I'm sure it does, you know. And I would rather, I mean, I don't know. I would much rather trust that person than the person who's like, well, I've never made any mistakes. Nothing bad's ever happened to me because I'm brilliant.
Yeah, that's BS.
Perfect forever, right?
Yeah.
Why would you want to work with that person?
No, exactly. And I mean, it's no, and I appreciate that you say that because that's definitely something that is more important to me than everything else or anything else. Is that I want to be my authentic self. And if a client doesn't, you know, feel that's good, that works, then it's great because then we probably won't be able to work well together. I'm not for everybody and not everybody's for me. Right. And that is true in work, in life, in love. And I think it's something that if you start forcing, to your point, if you start becoming inauthentic, if you're trying to like be someone, we are social animals. And in a social group setting, it always has been like survival important for survival that you're able to sniff out liars or people who don't do well or don't want well for you. Like that has been like one of the most important things in a social group to be able to survive.
Yeah.
And to, make it to the food chain.
Right.
To the top of the food chain. And and accelerated by the pandemic where we've all been cooped up.
Yeah.
And everybody's now behind a screen and everybody can now, speaks into microphones and looks into cameras and doesn't have to. There's so many things that get lost. The body language, often the tone of voice because the audio quality isn't good enough.
Yeah.
But there's so much more about it. Like I truly believe that there's an energy field. Like you walk into a room and you can see and sense someone.
Yeah.
And that got lost.
Right.
Because now everything is remote and everything is virtual. And so nowadays, right now, it becomes so much more important for people to find community, to find an authentic place where they can be themselves. And I know like the word authentic is like beaten to death. Let me know when there's a better word for it. But be you and be don't be an asshole, but be unapologetically you. And that's the way of, the universe is going to sort out who's going to be part of your journey and who's not.
Right.
And that's also my biggest thing is the realization of me always pursuing and pushing and driving and finally having the peace and quiet and being calm enough and patient enough to sit within it and sit with, well, where does it pull me to?
Yeah.
Right? No more pushing and pursuing.
Yeah. What am I drawn to?
What am I drawn to? And also having the patience to surrender into whatever's going to happen and to the idea that what's meant for you will find you. And if it took me 3 burnouts, but I don't want to give them back.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
In a sense, I would probably want to make the same mistakes because it made me into this person that I am today. And you got to go through the learnings. You got to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's the only way you learn it. If someone is out there and it's like all business, I'm like, yeah, I only succeed. I only fall uphill. Like, okay, good for you. But then has your strength really been tested?
Yeah. Right. It's easy. Everything's, this is going to sound stupid, but everything's easy when things are easy.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, when things are good, it's good and easy and you can, but it really comes down like, has your character been tested?
Yeah.
Have your own, like your support system, the tools that you carry within yourself, the emergency systems that shut down certain things or kickstart things into action that make you truly protect you, survive, protect your soul or make you physically survive certain situations.
Right.
They need to be they need to be pressure tested.
Yeah.
That's I think what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's like, how do you know? You can't really know if you really believe something if you only believe it when it's easy.
Yeah.
Like it only matters when it's hard. One of my favorite writer thinker people is Oscar Wilde, the Irish poet. I'm obsessed with him, and he is very quotable. I believe he's like the most quoted person in English besides Jesus and Shakespeare, and a lot of things are misquoted to him just because he's so witty. But one of my favorite sayings of his is he says something to the effect of, education is great, or because it's Victorian England, he says, education is, all well and good, but nothing worth knowing can be taught, right? And I don't quite, like, it's not perfectly true logically, but you know what he means, right? Of like, you can't, the lessons you learn from, mistakes and hardship and failure, they're not transferable. You can save people time, and like, that's what I think a good coach and a good mentor does, and you should want to save I'm a big believer in cheat codes. Like if someone else can get to a threshold of success in a thing without, suffering as much as me, great, do it. Suffering is not virtuous, I mean, it is in some ways, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't enjoy watching other people like suffer for no reason, shortcuts are great. Actually, that's my view.
It's actually something it's an important part of my business is that what I'm saying is, I want to pay forward the bruises and the scratches and the faith plants that I collected over the years. So let me tell you what are the potholes you probably shouldn't step into. What are the things you might be able to ship around? And that's the whole idea. I always grew up. My mom always told me, Nadia, you don't have to know everything. You just need to know who you ask.
Oh, that's very clever.
So, and it's so true. And it's that's what I'm all about. It's like, I will tell you if I don't know something.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to get to that place where I'm confident enough to be like, yeah, I have no idea.
Right. But we'll
let me find it out.
Yeah.
Let me figure it out. Here's where I would start. That's all about it. It's us being able to ask the right questions. You don't need to have all the answers.
Yeah. That's much better than just like feigning confidence, I think.
Or making shit up. Yeah. People smell that. It's the same with being yourself.
It's a skill. And if you're really good at it, I think it can be addicting.
Yeah, you could go politics with that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, for real. All right. One question I want to ask you, Nadia. Like, tell me about, I mean, I can get a sense of it because you've shared a lot and it's been wonderful, but I just want to ask you directly. Your work now, what excites you most about it? Like, what kinds of people do you like to work with? What whether it's, people or businesses, like you get out of bed in the morning and you're excited to do it. Why?
That was so important for me to find something that I actually don't hate Sunday nights.
Sure.
Or don't wake up in the morning with, stomach aches. So what gets me up in the mornings is when I can talk to people who have a dream and who want to build something, whatever that is. If it's gonna be, you want to break up with your 9-to-5 corporate job,
Right.
because you think you can do it better, or you have this idea, you have this side hustle, and you don't really know if it's gonna actually pay your bills. But that's what you're passionate about. Like, let's work on that.
Yeah.
That's what my heart is really lighting up when I can talk to people about their dreams and help them achieve them.
Yeah.
And so that is either, as I mentioned, people who are in a full-time position, and either you don't need to like hate your job, but
Right.
maybe you want more. Maybe you feel like, I want to start a new chapter and it's time for the transition into something that I built myself.
Yeah.
Where to start? That's why I jump in.
Yeah.
But it can also be, the mom and pop, small, medium-sized business who want to do more.
Yeah.
Want to reach more clients, want to have a new product they want to roll out. They don't know how, right?
Yeah.
And so I talk with a lot of people that are very either early stage and I don't even have the business yet, but let's work on it. Or I have a business and I want to take it up a notch.
Yeah.
So that's where, obviously when corporate big strategy projects are calling, I will still pick up the phone.
Right.
But when you ask me what I get up for in the morning, it's that.
Yeah.
It's that one-to-one conversation, like you having these conversations. And that's, for me, that where I can be, great, you don't know here's your struggle, here's where you today.
Yeah.
Here's where you want to go. This is your dream. I want to be that bridge.
Right.
And help you,
Yeah.
bring you to green pastures.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm so passionate about. And that's why I take all the tools and the strategies, and again, like all the things that I learned, all the mistakes and, failures I had myself.
Right.
I kind of package them up in a digestible way and cut out the BS and just like, all right, now let's talk how we can do this, like very specifically.
Yeah. No,
That's
I
what
love that. I think a lot of people underestimate the value of having a coach or mentor, really. Every Olympian, there's one guy, and I think he had a coach, and I really need to figure out who he is because I talk about him all the time. But there's like one person I've ever heard of who like did get to the Olympics, and he was like some javelin thrower from a rural African country or something like Kenya, and he learned it, and it's amazing. Like, he just started watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And he just like learned how to throw the javelin, and then eventually he got good enough that he like did get an Olympic coach. But like unless you're that guy and you have a real talent and passion and you want to like obsessively throw javelin from YouTube lessons, you really should get a coach or mentor, because they'll push you to do things that would never occur to you. They'll make you see things about yourself that you wouldn't see. They'll push you in the ways that you need to be pushed, in ways that you can't imagine. Even some of the biggest, honestly, just speaking from experience, like all the really cool things in my life that I've done or that I've really enjoyed, they've almost all been because someone else has pushed me to do it, like without question, or because I've seen someone else and been like, oh, if they're doing it, I could do that. Huh. And then someone else is like, yeah, you can't, like, it's all been, I've never been a particularly like self-directed person of like, oh, I'm going to go do that. It's all just been a reaction to other people. And then I find my own path along the way. But I mean, even the beekeeping thing, I had a coach for that. That changed my entire life. You know, never in my wildest dreams did I imagine myself as like an entrepreneurial type. And then he explained it to me in a way that no one ever had. And he was like, no, you are an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. This is a way of thinking. It's a way of being, you know?
True.
Or even like, you know, my partner and I bought a farm. It's like our house as well. It's just like a small farm in rural New Hampshire. And we only did it because she lost her job and her friend is like a coach of some kind. She helps people make like plans for their lives. And she was like, you should seriously consider just like buying a thing. And we're like, what are you talking about? This is not the time. She's like, it will never be the time. Just do it. And I'm so glad we did. Like, oh my God. So I don't know. I'm speaking way too much, but those are just some random examples of my personal life. And I could think of many of like, it's easy for people to discount like, oh, I don't need a coach. But what they're not accounting into that is what they're leaving on the table in terms of opportunity and value that they can't even imagine because no one's pushed them that way yet, right? So there's a huge upside that I don't think people see.
There's so much. I love listening to you. There's so much in it. And I think so many things I want to react to. I think the first thing is to buying a house, building a company, getting married, getting divorced, all the things, insert blank. There's never the perfect time.
Right.
You just got to do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they say.
There's
do it
always
scared.
A good reason not to
do it scared, but do it.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing I want to react to is the part about, do you need a coach? Do you need a mentor?
Sure.
I don't know. But in the end, it's we have our own reality. Mm-hmm. So you have your reality, and your reality is made up by the things that you can't imagine and the things that you know. And the things that you know you don't know. So that's like kind of the outer premises of your reality.
Right.
But in order to go further than that, to go beyond, you need inspiration. And to your point, like, well, I don't really know. I just see people do. That's inspiration.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. And that's why it is so important that we surround ourselves with people that are better than ourselves, that do more, that want more, that have a similar hunger for more in life. Mm-hmm. And I think my coach always says it. It's don't know who from where it's from, but you are the summary of the 5 people you spend most time with.
Yeah. 2 of them are my dogs, so.
So you're good. You're good. I have 2 dogs as well. Like those are my favorite people.
Right.
And yeah, but look at your network. Look at who you spend most time with, mm-hmm. and those 5 people will influence not only the choices that you make, the risks that you take, and the way you look at life, the way you talk about yourself.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that really talk, and I didn't even notice how much negative self-talk I've been doing.
Yeah.
To a point where my coach really, like, he had to stop me in my tracks. But like, Nadia, how can you talk to yourself about yourself? Like, would you ever talk to a friend like that? I would be like, no.
Yeah, never.
But I was like, I'm a piece of shit. I didn't do my homework class. And he was like, what? Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
And I have friends that do. They like, oh, look at this. Look at my chin line on this photo, and look at that. I'm like, honey, would you ever talk to your friend? Not even a friend.
Right.
To an enemy. Would you ever talk to anyone outside of your head like that?
Yeah.
Then why are you doing it? So, and it starts with the people you surround yourself. And if you have people in your, I always say, find your tribe.
Right.
If you have people in your little village, in your little universe that cheer you on when you don't believe in yourself, that call you out when you fuck up or you're not fair to yourself, that's what you need. And if you don't have that in your personal or private life, get a coach.
Right.
And coaches have coach.
Right.
Coaches have coaches.
Yeah.
Therapists have therapists.
Yeah.
Because, well, I need that. But that's the whole thing. It's like you only can get better if you add people to your life that push you out of the reality that you built for yourself.
Yeah. No, I think you're right to point that out. That's a good, I feel like if I had to sum it all up into one takeaway, it's like coaches have coaches and therapists have therapists, and so do, all the most again, not that like measure success however you like, but all the really successful people, they don't do it themselves.
No.
You know, it's a network. They rely on, you know, their loved ones and their friends to like believe in them, to help self-correct or course correct when they're being too hard on themselves. Like it really is it takes a village.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a village. And man, there's so much I could talk to you about.
Yeah.
All right. If you could talk to yourself on like day one of moving to America, like what would you say?
Buckle up, girl.
Yeah.
Buckle up. What would I say to myself? Be patient.
Yeah.
And surrender to what's going to happen.
Is that the same advice? Like, like, do you coach people in the same way? Like, I don't know, like is advice you'd give to your former younger self the same advice that you give to your mentees?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't make a difference in that. Because it's life advice. Career is life, is business, is everything.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to be fair to yourself and to make the mistakes. And I mean, maybe not all of them. If
Right.
you can avoid some of them.
We can skip some of them.
You know, but maybe one burnout is fine. I don't need 3.
Yeah. 1.3 is the perfect amount.
The average recommended dosage of burnout, 1.3. Sure, can get behind that.
Right.
No, but honestly, it's the advice I would always give is do it scared, but do it.
I feel lucky that I caught you at like this time in your life. Like you would have made an interesting podcast guest, I think probably at any time in your life, but I feel like I'm catching you during a real period of like, you know, recreation and self-reflection and just like growth. And you're going to come back on the show someday. And this is going to be nice because this conversation is recorded and I hope you go back and reflect on it. But like you're here now, your whole life got blown up in the last like couple of years. How did that like radically alter your vision for your own future? And like, what is your vision now? Like, where do you want to be in terms of, you know, from consulting or anything, you know, where, as someone who, you know, knows what it's like to be really, really goal oriented, to crush those goals and to like totally achieve them, no matter the cost. How do you think about goal setting now? Do you even like have, I mean, no, you have goals, of course you do, but like, I don't know, answer that question however you want. What's the future for Nadia look like?
It's like a job interview. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, but I actually want to know.
But like, I really want to know.
Yeah.
No, I love the question because it's definitely something that I always struggled to answer. Because it was always like, well, I want to be a CEO.
Sure.
You know, I want to be all the way up there. I want to do this. I want to be in the boardrooms. Like, okay. Been there, done that. You were still sad and lonely and unfulfilled and you know, just empty.
Right.
So that probably wasn't it. But of course, yeah, I still make plans. And I think the key is that I want to help a lot of people and I want to help people build all their dreams and all of that. But yeah, do I want to be very successful doing it? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please. I would like to do that.
Yeah.
You know, or want to retire at some point and be able to live a good life.
Right.
But to be honest, I still don't have this like, you know, this is where I'm going to be and I'm going to sit at the beach and, you know, have like my 4 p.m. martini with my husband. Like, I don't know. I don't see it.
It's 4 like 10 right now. I'm just saying.
Ooh, yeah, I mean.
And we are in a tap room. I wish I could just open those. I can't, but.
I thought you have connections.
He wouldn't mind, but I'm going to ask him.
Nobody will know.
Yeah.
No, but I probably would say that, yeah. I remember what I wanted to say earlier.
Oh, okay. Bring it up.
Which is important. It's also good. It might be a good closing, but it's my, the word solopreneur, solo entrepreneur, solopreneur.
Yeah.
I hate that word. I hate it because it suggests that you're supposed to do it by yourself. You're supposed to do it. Solopreneur, like I do it by myself. No, you're not. And it's, and I think the advice that I would give myself an advice I always give clients, mentees: ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. Don't try to like suffer through things by yourself. Ask for advice. Get a therapist. Get help. Go journal if you don't have anyone to talk to.
Right.
But yeah, find your people. And for me, it is that I think I do see a future where I want to create a communal space, like a community, if it's going to be somewhere in the mountains, in a villa in the jungle of Costa Rica. And it's just...
I live in the mountains, I'm just saying.
Bring it. Yeah, New Hampshire mountains, almost as good as the jungle in Costa Rica, I guess.
Come do Fromm consulting retreats on my farm.
Yes.
I'm not even kidding.
We should talk about it. I want to do retreats.
Yeah.
I'm actually... Because again, that's the... Business is one thing. But the key is to look at your life holistically.
Yeah.
And you're not just a worker, or you're not just a mom, or you're not just a wife. It has to all come together. And only when you're able to truly bring those people, those elements of your life into harmony, then you have a beautiful orchestra. Like then you have, a good song going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably what I would advise myself.
That's good advice.
It's good advice.
Nadia, what makes you optimistic about the future of your work, of anything? You said earlier, there's so much good in the world. I wish people knew more about it.
Yeah.
Tell me what makes you optimistic.
What makes me optimistic today is how much we value the individual, and how much individualism and every person can just go and live and fulfill their dream, no matter who you are, no matter how you identify with, no matter how you were brought up, where, by whom. You can be what you want to be. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I don't think, again, this is, a white person, a European white person saying that.
Sure.
But it's, and I think there's so much more that we need to do in the world.
Right.
And I wish we can, and I think we do. We're going to continue to make that kind of mindset and that possibility happen for more people. And you got to start in your own community. You got to start with what you can influence immediately. And so that's something that makes me really excited about the future, is that you don't have to be like the factory worker and you got to take the job that your dad had. And then with 23, you have to be married because at 25, TikTok, you got to have your children. It's just... all the norms are out of the window. And while it is really scary, because nobody has walked in front of us to build this path, but we're walking it. And that, you got to have, your little machete every now and then. We're going to put down some stepping stones. So it's nicer for people after us to follow. But, we're building this path now. And I think it's cool. And I feel everybody should help. And everybody should just like define those new ways for the generations to come.
I really like how when you talk about these things, like all the metaphors that pop in your head, like we're building a path, we're also using a machete, and there's a train that's going into a dumpster. Like, it's very creative.
I have a very visual brain. Yeah.
It's a good thing. Well, people need it to visualize, success and a better life and all these things. And I'm sure that's what helps make you a great coach and mentor.
Yeah. Thank you.
This has been really fun.
It's been great.
I want to have you back on at some point.
Yes, please. I wish we had beer.
You're not the first to, I know it's like I do it in a tap room. What's the point? I know. Well, I do a lot of these. So Cody, he would say yes. And then he would be like, oh man, okay, you're drinking like $1,000 worth of beer a month.
Yeah, we can pay. No problem.
Yeah.
No, Annie, this is great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Nadia. Hey there, thanks for spending some time with us, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation. You can learn more about today's guest and how to get involved with or support their work in the show notes. If you'd like to suggest a guest for the show or have any story tips for our Good News in New Hampshire newsletter, shoot me a message at hello@granitegoodness.com. Music for this episode was provided by the band Sneaky Miles, who hail from Newmarket, New Hampshire. Until next time, I'm the creator and host of Granite Goodness, Andy DeMeo. Thanks for listening.